marching into March. Listen, we are finally marching out of March. Where did it go? We sure march out of March. It is the last Monday and the last day in March, guys. We surely march out, but I'm glad that we're marching in victory. We're marching in hope. We're marching with knowledge, right? We're not just running out of March. We have a platter of information that we have downloaded through the month of March. And last week we conclude our series, and is church duties or your church role becomes more a priority over your spouse, so to speak. So go back and check out that series that we concluded last week. And on that note, guess what we have for you this week? Yes, wait for it, wait for it. So I'm gonna let y'all sit on that for a minute, and y'all gonna guess what the new topic is. Hopefully, it might be something you have suggested, because listen, we do take feedback, and when y'all think about some of the suggestions that you send in on topics, right? So again, so good afternoon, good evening, howdy, happy Monday. We just went through a tornado this morning and this afternoon in Georgia. Yes, we have tornadoes. Listen, we have thunderstorm. I mean, everywhere you can think of happening in Georgia. Right now it's hot outside. Okay, the rain is stopped. So it is in the natural, it is in the spiritual. Whatever you're facing, listen, we want you to know that it's only a chapter. It's not the entire book. So again, Prayer for Marriage, we're here every Monday, 7 o'clock for half an hour. Time constraints, sometimes we might go a little bit over, depends on how engaged you guys are. You might push a little bit more. And just for those who are tuning in for the first time, welcome. Please share, subscribe. Call a friend, phone a friend, invite a friend. This is Prayer for Marriage, or visionary of this ministry. My tutelage, one of my amazing mentor, is none other than Evangelist Baker. Listen, she wears many hats, okay? I can't keep up with all the titles that she has, but one thing you need to know, she loves souls. See, she is a woman, an assignment for souls, for the kingdom of God. And not only that, she has a t-shirt that represents that, guys. And I am yours truly, Nikki McKenzie, aka an evangelist in the kingdom. Yes. I am a simple girl trying to be better. Don't mind my husband and my daughter in the back. They always want attention when I'm busy. Yeah. I'm an evangelist in the kingdom.
They don't get enough of you.
Right? A simple girl, that's it, just trying to be better than I was the day before. And my passion, we're all here, for faster and healthy relationship, and be the change that we want to see in our relationship. Whatever we talk about here, we don't know it all. We don't have it all figured out. We're trying to learn it together, and we solicit your feedback, your insight, your input, how we can grow, how we can be better steward in our relationship to build healthy community, healthy church, so we can be the true epistle, walking, living epistle, and it starts with us. So, on that note, since y'all guessed it or still trying to guess, we started a new topic before I put my evangelist on. The topic is identifying the cycle. I think that's what it is. The cycle.
Spouse when they're in the cycle.
Observing the cycle or patterns, that your spouse is going through, right? Mm-hmm. And there's so many platter of information out there, but it's only 30 minutes. So there's only so much we can say. So I'm going to hand it over to Evangelist to come in and greet us with that amazing shirt. She don't play about her assignment, guys. She take it seriously. That means she got the t-shirt to represent. She's an assignment.
Yeah. All right. Listen, good evening. And yes, Evangelist Nikki said we are marching out. Listen, we're marching out of March, but this is not March Madness. It was March Gladness. Because we delved into a topic where I love the feedback that we got when we did this. The topic: Are you allowing church duties? Are you putting church duties before your spouse, right? And so that was a really good hit. It just started off from a comment that Dr. Holt made. So I want to greet you all. I want to greet those of you on YouTube, those of you on Facebook. We want to greet you. We want to just say hello to, listen, if this is your first time here, put first time. If you're watching it live, you can put live. If you're watching the replay, you can just say replay. But we're just grateful that you are here tonight with us. And listen, I was at a conference this week, and it was an amazing conference hosted by Dr. Regina Martin and my friend Dr. Michelle Phillips. She was part of one of the speakers, and I went. And I cannot tell you, I am a woman on assignment, right? And I'm glad I understand my assignment. And as women, we have more than one assignment. If we are married, listen, we're a wife, we're a mother. So that's just two. right there. And now we're not even talking about outside the home or in the ministry, but that's just two major assignments that we need to really keep in mind. And so tonight, greetings to you, Reverend Dr. Carl Brown, Dr. Hope, Lady Beatrice, greetings. Let me tell you something. When we talk about now supporting our spouse when they're in a cycle, and a lot of person may say, well, why is my spouse in a cycle, right? And what do you mean I need to support him? Listen, or him or her. Let me tell you something. Um, when Evangelist Nikki and I, we were coming on, right? And we were saying women have communities that they can talk to. They can call a girlfriend and say, girl, guess what? He getting on my nerves. But men, they don't have a community where they can go. Ladies, you guys have prayer for marriages and you have before you say I do, right? Even though both ministries are for men and women, of course, more women are going to be drawn to it, right? I'm trying to pull my husband out to do something for the men. Don't worry. And I'm also was trying to pull Dr. Reverend Carl Brown, to do something and so that men can be empowered. As a matter of fact, he do have a men empowerment session that I think it was an 8-week teaching. I'm not sure how that's going. I haven't talked to him in a minute, but listen, seek out information for your need, right? Seek out information for what you need. So, yes, so we're going to be talking about tonight supporting your spouse when they're in a cycle, right? When they're in a cycle. And some of you may say, why do I need to support my spouse when they're in a cycle? Listen, you have to support your spouse. It's no way that your spouse is going through something and you're not there to support them. Whether you're supporting them after the loss of a job, death of a loved one, it could be anything. A failed, I don't want to say failed business.
Struggle. The struggling.
The struggling business, your business is struggling.
Mhm.
You can't get it off the ground. We have to be there to support them, just like we will want them to support us. All right. So I'm going to turn it back over to Evangelist Nikki, and she's going to give her point, and we're just going to go back and forth and dialogue. And ladies, gentlemen, those of you on YouTube and or Facebook, tell us something. How have you ever supported your spouse when they're in a cycle or even a cycle of addiction? Or maybe your spouse got in some kind of trouble with the law and you have to support them through a jail cycle. You understand what I'm saying? So let's support our spouses, all right? So give us some feedback on, have you ever supported your spouses and guess what? Supporting your spouse is not just when they're in a cycle, but it's continuous. All right. So Evangelist Nikki, go ahead, beloved.
Yeah, and that's the key thing there, like you said, evangelist. It's not just when they're going through, but it's more in depth. We need more, what would say, more intentional, right? Because in order to know that they need support, you have to be paying attention, right? You have to be observant. You have to check their pattern and see, because these cycles comes a lot of time is emotional cycle. Their behavior reflect what they're going through, their situational cycles, you know what I mean? That reflects when things changing, the laughter, the joy, they can't sleep, they're tossing and turning, right? They're getting up all different hours of the night, and they pace it. So these are things that you observe to see, okay, something is off, right? What is causing this cycle? And when sometimes you ask a question, they're like, I'm okay, I'm fine, I don't know what it is, because sometimes they really can't put it into words. And like I said, it's not gender bias, it goes both ways, right? So we don't want to think it's just gender, but we mostly, it's easy for us to see from a woman perspective because we're very attentive, right? Because a lot of men, they compartmentalize a lot of things. And when they vote some things away, they don't realize that their attitude, their emotion, their behavior is showing what's happening on the inside. So we have to learn to listen when we do ask the question. Don't just ask, how's your day? You know what I mean? You have to ask open-ended question to get to the root cause of stuff for them to be engaged. And make sure it's an inviting environment that they really want to talk. And these
Mm-hmm.
cycles different. They're different root causes, and the ways that they affect each other. Right? One of the things we want to touch on is especially that we're seeing it's so prevalent now. I know it's kind of like the buzzword, the mental illness and what leads to it. We want to talk about emotional cycles that men go through because we think it's just women. Oh, she's just on her cycle. We hear it all the time. Oh, it's just the time of the month, right? But a lot of time we get up and there's some truth because of our hormone imbalance and all. So there's even cycles that we go through, but a lot of men do go through emotional cycles, behavioral cycles, and situational cycles. And these are like the top key cycles that if you're paying attention, you'll see, especially the emotional cycle. It's a pattern of recurring feelings like sadness, hunger. They're just outbursts for no reason, snapping at the cat, kicking the can, and yelling at the kid, screaming at the TV. I'm not talking about this, it's soccer time,
Right.
But, simple things that trigger them off. There's eye anxiety. They're having road rage, right? They can't sleep, like we said earlier. Sometimes they might be experiencing frequent outbursts. They're in the store waiting in the line and something, and they start getting irritated. They're in traffic and they start having these crazy blowing the horn and carrying on. And I'm not talking like it's a crazy traffic. Right. You know what I mean? And you see these outbursts coming out of frustration. So they end up falling into this cycle of hopelessness. What if you like, what's the point? Right? What's the point of me trying? And they start negative self-talking themselves. Nothing I do is good enough. And everything I do is fail. What's the point of going on? What's the point of trying? Right? And they just sobbing. Men do that. It's an emotional cycle because of the internal trigger and expectation, not only that they set on themselves, but society a lot of times set on themselves. And these are also linked to external stressors like past experience, how they were raised and what the expectation of them is. And they feel like they're letting down everyone because they're not performing up to what society expect them to, or what was put on them from a younger child, or even physical health, like, hormonal imbalance, like we touched for women. Men have hormonal imbalance too, testosterone imbalance as well. So it's not just us, the women. They have their time where their testosterone is low. That will give them low energy. So we have to be intentional in paying attention and have those hard conversations because these emotional cycles often impact mood and relationship. He usually be lovey-dovey. She usually be lovey-dovey and kissy-kissy. Now she's like, oh, leave me alone. Let me take 10. Let me get, and they're very distant. They're very cold. It's not you. Don't feel like, oh, it's somebody else out there. It's never, it always is not the case. It's just that they're going through that cycle and they don't know how to vocalize it. Right. So that's why when you know your partner and you know the things them that makes them feel good, and when you're doing all of those and you're not getting the result, right? Then you say, okay, it's time for us to have that hard conversation.
Yep.
Those cycle don't just go away. You don't wish it away by say, I'm going to give him more sex. I'm going to cook more. I'm going to do this more. It takes an intentional conversation because they might not even realize that they're going through that cycle because they're caught up in themselves so much. They not even realize the cycle that they're in.
Yeah.
But guess what? We have that power to help them break that cycle.
We do. Reverend Dr. Carl Brown, he said the Powered Up Man Mentorship Network is being launched. So ladies, look out for that for your men. Powered Up Man Mentorship Network. That's being launched. And when the launch day comes, I will definitely share it because our men need it, right? Our men need it. Dr. Hope says, even when your relationship is at a rocky place, that's the time to support the spouse who has the shortcoming and not dismantle it. And a lot of times we don't know how to support when the relationship is in a rocky place. Listen, I'm going to say this. It's good to have someone to talk you off the ledge, to talk you out of leaving your relationship, depending on the circumstances, right? Now, if it's abuse, I'm going to tell you, let him sit and cool off for a few days, but I'm not going to leave you in an abusive situation or tell you to call the popo, right? But if it's something that is dismantling and it can be worked out, work it out. Come together. Have somebody with that you're able to reason with, or that's able to reason with you, and he finds somebody that's able to reason with him to say, okay, let me hear the story without being biased to say, oh, yeah, leave, honey, leave. No. We're not just going to leave this, especially if you have years invested. Like Dr. Hope and her husband, they've been married for 40 years. It's not just, oh, I'm walking away. That's 40 years. Oh, I want to pause right here and give a shout out to Bishop and Mother Sylvia Jerkins. They're celebrating 61 years of marriage. Lord Jesus. So they've been married longer than I've been on this earth. Happy anniversary to them. All right. And I knew them when I was growing up back in New Jersey. Awesome man and woman of God. All right. So when your relationship is in a rocky spot, that's a good time as well to support each other, right? Reverend Brown said the men are expected to always be okay to lead or okay and lead. Sometimes we just not is not okay, not okay enough to. They're not okay
But it's
enough to lead at
okay
time.
to not be okay.
It's
You see what
okay
I'm
to
saying?
not be okay.
You know,
Right.
it's okay.
It's
And
okay.
that's where the pressure comes in. And that's
Th-
where the pressure comes in. And that's why you don't know this is a non-judgment zone. We want you to be your authentic self,
You know what else he
and that's why
says?
I think
You know what he
power up
says?
for men, mentorship is going to be important because men listen to men.
Men listen to
Men
men.
listen to
Exactly.
men. So
Exactly.
can't
And
wait
this
for that to launch.
And this is why I like when we're on Before You Say I Do and the men speak. I love
Yes,
when they speak
yes,
because
yes,
we're hearing what they want. And I
yes.
always say, listen, ladies, if y'all remember, anytime a man is speaking and they're speaking truth and dropping nuggets, I'm like, ladies, y'all listen, y'all hear what they're saying, right? He also says, but it seems the female never listen or pay attention. My God.
That's the key thing right there. That's the key ingredient for men because a lot of time they will tell us, but we brush it off and call it something else.
Mm-hmm,
Oh, you're too
mm-hmm,
emotional, and then we just kill them right there. And we're
mm-hmm.
not being intentional in paying attention to the patterns that we're seeing. It comes out in
Right,
their tone, their body
right.
language, their sex, the way they dress, the way they eat, the way they
It
sleep.
does.
There's so many avenues. If you are with your partner, you have to set it up. Listen, my husband will tell you, he's to the point now because I'm a tone person. I
Mm-hmm.
know how tone change, and
Yes.
I know when it's time to put a smile in my voice and stuff like that. And when he talked to me, I can tell his tone based on what he's not saying. The tone is telling me everything
That
that
right
he's
there,
saying.
what he's not saying.
Right, the
Listen,
tone will tell you.
let me tell you
But
something.
guess what? You have to
You
listen.
have to listen. And this is why we all have to know the temperature of our spouse. You have to know
Yes,
that man
yes,
that you're with.
yes,
You have to know that woman that you're with because they speak to us. Sometimes the nonverbal communication is what speaking and screaming the
yes,
loudest. So
yes. I agree.
ladies, we are not paying enough attention. And I'm going to say we because let me tell you something. The men, they speak to us. They tell us they tell us the things that they don't like. They tell us, but we tend to brush it off and say, oh, whatever. But they're telling you what they don't like. They're telling you their likes. They're telling you what's making them upset. They're telling you what they're not satisfied with. And I know sometimes it may seem to like a nag or a pain, but listen. I don't ever want to hear my husband say, babe, you don't never listen to me. That's not good. That is not good at all. That is not good at all. Dr. Hope said, just as Dr. Nikki said earlier, the spouse may not realize their offenses or shortcoming. And this is why one of the things that I saw when I was doing this study, you know what the first thing they talk about? They say the first point to supporting your spouse in while they're in a cycle is fostering open communication.
Patience. Yes.
Listen, and you know we hit communication on the head every time. Effective communication. We need to be able to effectively communicate, right? Effectively communicate with our spouse. When you see something, don't degrade them or berate them
Criticize them.
or
Yeah.
criticize or say you're supposed to be the man. They
Yes.
hurt too. And I know this topic may seem like we're being biased towards the men and just hammering on the women. But women, we're honestly, if every woman that's watching this show on tonight, or will watch the replay, you will say 80% of the time you don't listen to what your husband is saying. You don't pay attention. You don't pay attention to his mood. I'm not saying this is for everybody. You don't pay attention to his moods. You don't pay attention to his silence because you just, oh, he don't feel like being bothered. You don't pay attention to when the sex is not so great and you know you're always.
Yeah, don't fake it. Don't pretend, guys. Don't pretend.
Trust
and then
me,
later on, you have a disagreement. You're gonna bring it up in the heat of the moment. No,
right. That's the wrong time to bring up something.
Not afterward. You guys must have a talk. A conversation.
Right. So you gotta listen. The first thing in supporting your spouse when they're in a cycle is to foster open communication, open, effective communication. And this is the thing. This is the thing. And I love that Reverend Dr. Brown says, we don't pay attention or listen.
Yeah, active listening is important for us. And then when you say giving the full attention, you can't have one on the gadget, one on the phone, the other hand stirring the pot. And then what did you say, babe? Right.
Listen, let me tell you something. My husband, he hates if I'm talking to him and I ever make the mistake to either answer my phone and to respond to a text or look away or do something, he's done. He's like, I'll talk to me.
We have to put away the distraction.
Listen, let me tell you something. Just like we want them to pay attention and be present. Yeah. Be present in the conversation with them. They wanted to. And my husband is big on that. I didn't realize how big he was on that. And I should have realized it because, before he migrated and we were under the same roof, he could tell when we were on the phone if I was distracted doing something. And he'd be like, babe, you're distracted. I'll call you back or call me back when you're finished, right? And I'm like, no, I'm good. He's like, nope, call me back when you're finished. So listen, just like we want them to be present, and I was guilty of that, trying to multitask. No, my husband don't like when I multitask. When it's his time, it's his time. He don't want nothing to distract it, right? So we have to listen. And Dr. Hope says, keep your friends out of your business and talk to someone with experience. And honestly,
therapy, get counseling, get wise wisdom, get a proverb. Yeah, Titus, not a proverb, but Titus 2 women.
Titus 2 women. Let me tell you something.
Yes, wise counseling.
We have to learn, ladies, and I'm telling you, we have to learn. We definitely got to learn, and men too. For the men who don't listen or pay attention, both parties, we say spouse. You notice we didn't say husband or wife. We say your spouse because we're talking to both.
Not gender bias. Right.
We're not gender bias. We're talking to both the husband and the wife. Listen, Dr. Carl Brown, you need to hurry up and launch that men powered up.
Men listen to men, Dr. Brown. Men listen to men. So yes.
Listen, we probably got to bring on Dr. Brown when he's about to launch, so we can draw some men. Because ladies, invite your husbands to listen to sign up. Encourage them. Listen, let me tell you something. Our men need more support, especially from us. Especially from us. Dr. Brown says men muster up to speak, so when we have to repeat it, it can be a turnoff for us.
So I can relate. I can understand. I can understand now.
True,
yes, they're like, never mind.
Yeah,
don't worry.
Like, never
and then the tone start changing. And now we coming from the 8 ball like, babe, I'm sorry, I got you. And we have to realize, because I recently, like 2 years ago, discovered that we were not built to multitask. No. It was a myth they tell us. Because something is going to be lacking. We're not going to give everything our undivided attention. We're not multitasking. We have to stop in a moment, give our spouse eye contact, show that we're engaged, ask open-ended question without, criticizing them. condemning them, and help them find a solution. Don't make it seem like, well, you're a man, you're supposed to know the answer. No, we all don't. That's why we are a team, right? So we help them find the answer. What do you think about this? What do you think is causing this pattern? When did you notice you start feeling this way? And ask them to be more engaged instead of we doing all the talking all the time, right? And we're good to do that.
Dr. Brown said, he said, man, we got our nerves up to talk. Don't mess us up now, right? Listen, when my husband start talking, I'm listening because he be spitting some wisdom out to me, and I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right, And listen,
it took me a way to get here because by profession I'm a solutionist, right? So you give me a problem, my mindset is already starting to solve it. And I have to learn that every problem that your spouse comes with, he's not asking to solve it. Sometimes he just want to listen in here, to hear it outside of himself, for us to help face it together. And he already have, because a lot of time when I go to him with stuff, I already know the answer that I wanted, but I need a different opinion, probably a different way, a different route that I can take. And that's how it is with a lot of men. They think about a lot of ways they could solve it. Let me present it to you, and so we can collaborate together. And that's what they're looking for. Encourage reflection. Encourage them to use that open-ended question and let them know it's a safe place. Don't use those. Like some of us who use, I have to be assertive a lot of time at work in our professional life. We have to turn that off. And
that's right. That's what I was going to say.
That seductive voice is important. We're not trying to seduce them, but that seductive voice is very important. The way you address them. Don't come at them like it's a task and it's a project you're trying to fix at work, right? Talk to them in an inviting way, the way you usually talk with them later on the phone and stuff like, babe, say that again. I like how, just get them to, because men, they don't like when they feel like they're in a war zone. They're trying to put on a wall and they're going for combat. They want to be able to relax, and we need to come in that, feminine mindset to hear them out. I said, babe, I hear you. I got you. How can I help you? Don't try to fix it though. Men don't like that. Unless the men, they're looking for lows and all evils, right?
Dr. Carl Brown said, leave the work voice and the preaching, leave the work voice at work. Leave the preacher voice at church.
You hear what I just said? We have to turn on what? That's seductive, sensual, charming voice where they're so mesmerized. They want to tell you from A to Z, from they get up until the traffic, till they get home. You will get their attention. The voice have to be inviting and receptive and non-judgment zone. Let them know it's a safe place, not just saying it, but being attentive in the now, showing up, like you said, give eye contact like your husband like, right? Just like when we're talking to a boss or something, we're not just looking away and fidgeting around. We give it undivided attention because we want to soak up all the information that they're divulging to us. Husband and a spouse desire that. Give them that undivided attention. Look them straight in the eye so they know, I hear you, I see you, I empathize with you, I'm here with you. You're looking away, so if they feel like, okay, what's the point?
Right.
She's not going to listen anyway. He's not going to listen anyway. He ain't going to do nothing with it anyway. Because we already build up that emotion and past experience, how others deal with us. We come with that same judgment and, punish our spouse for something that they're craving. They're like, I'm here with you. Why are you short-stopping me? Right? But set the atmosphere. Let them know you won't have no distraction, no phone. Like my daughter, she gets phones on the weekend, and we notice, when my husband is home, and if he picked her up, he'll give her the phone because she knows she can't chat with me. She said, Daddy, can I see your phone? And she's like, I just want to check the time. I want to check the weather. But then she's on YouTube Kids. The other night, we passed in her room after we done put her to bed, and we see this little light underneath her blanket. And I'm like, well, hold on now. The night light is over there. What? Find out. She underneath the blanket with her iPhone. And then, you see that light when you go there and say, all I do, I pull the blanket off, and I'm like, stretch my hand out, and she's like, and she started making up, what in her head that she think I wanted to hear, and I'm like, I don't need no excuse, because and then she gets straight to I apologize, and that's what we do a lot of.
Let me tell you this, right? We as ladies, right? Proverbs, I forgot what, I think it's 12. Proverbs says, a wise woman builds her house. A wise woman Stop tearing down your homes, lady. Listen, some of you may be saying, Evangelist, you just don't understand my husband. You just don't
Oh, you don't know
understand my
this
son. You
man. It's
don't
the
know
devil
this
in.
man
I heard
that
somebody
I'm
the other day
married to. You
said,
don't listen.
evangelist.
Listen,
None of
trust
you
me.
said.
I know I don't know
Somebody said
him.
to me the other day that they're married to the devil incarnated. I said, sweetie, that means you what? If he's a devil, and your representation of what?
Devil, exactly. Reverend Colin, I love the feedback on Facebook. Reverend Colin Brown said, "Don't ever tell us we need to talk. Oh, please just
Oh
create
yeah,
the
yeah. I learned that the
atmosphere.
hard way. I learned
Create
that the hard way, Dr.
create the
Carl Brown.
atmosphere." He said,
Yes,
"Create the atmosphere
yes,
and talk." That
yes,
need to
yes.
talk. That need to talk thing mess is under
Yes,
our
it's a
nerves.
trigger word for men.
It's
I
a
learned
trigger.
we did a
It's
session on that before.
definitely a
Before
trigger.
you say I do, we did.
Mhm.
It's a trigger word for
It's
a
a
lot of
trigger.
men.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah, it's like
trigger.
they're going to the principal office or they're in trouble and they're like, nothing good is gonna come out of this. They no, so you just set the atmosphere. Let's create a date night tonight. Let's do Netflix and chill. Just make it inviting. And then you
Let,
have those little conversation in between.
let me tell y'all something. When listen, Evangelist Nikki and I, we always say we don't know it all. We're learning it. Listen, as we're teaching, we're learning some of these things too. So I don't want anybody to think that, oh, Evangelist Nikki and Dr. Baker, their marriage is perfect. No, we have learned our lesson. Well, okay, speak for Evangelist Nikki. I've learned my lesson in running my mouth and not listening to my husband. So because I've learned, and for those women who say you don't know the men I'm married to, no, but I know the spirit behind your action, right? And so because I'm a woman on assignment, I can discern it that it's not always your husband. What role did you play in the situation?
It takes two. It
Listen, let
takes
me tell you
two.
something. Listen, we are never ever out of information because we just touch on one point of how to support your spouse when they're in a cycle, and we're just talking about healthy fostering open communication. Let me tell you something. It's a lot. Ladies, let me tell you something. When I was at the conference this weekend, I was thinking about prayer for marriages, and I was thinking about before you say I do, and I'm like, wow, the assignment, these two assignments that I have, they are heavy. And I'm glad I have the support of team members. I'm glad I have the support of Evangelist Nikki for this session because listen, I cannot do this by myself. I'm just glad for the team of people that is working with me on these assignments. Ladies, I'm telling you, listen, the goal of this ministry is to foster healthy marriages, one couple at a time. Listen, if we save the couple tonight, right, from divorcing and or separating, just by saying support them when they're in a cycle, by fostering open communication, we have helped a lot because we just want to make sure that you're going to be in a healthy space, that your spouse that you can create a safe space for your husband, and you're actively listening. So next week we're going to come back with part 2, and we probably have part 3 or 4 because we need to learn how to support our spouse when they're in a cycle. Listen, we did say for better for worse. I know most persons who got married in the church, and even if you created your own vows, somewhere in there you said you was gonna stick around till the end, right? You said it. Listen, so we're never out of time or out of information. We're just out of time. All right. Listen, I'm about to teach on the subject at 8 o'clock. Um, are you battling with the spirit of Ichabus and Succubus? If you're battling with it, join me at 8 o'clock on Zoom only. Also, again, if you have not yet joined our Thursday night community, you will want to join us on Zoom this Thursday. We have prayer and prophetic release, and you don't want to miss that on this Thursday. You don't want to miss prayer and prophetic release, and you don't want to miss the teaching that I'm about to do on Zoom at 8 o'clock entitled, Are You Battling with the Spirit of Are you battling with Ichabus and succubus? A lot of persons are battling with it, but they're ashamed to say it because that spirit takes on the spirit of shame and pride. Oh, I don't want nobody to know. But you need to expose that spirit so you can be free from it. All right. Listen, join our Thursday night community. And for this Thursday, we're going to have prayer and prophetic release. And we got an awesome woman of God that's going to, Prophetess Simone Collins, that's going to be releasing some prophetic word and declaration over our lives. Also, June 26th through 28th, 2025. You don't want to miss Divine Alignment Conference. It's going to be held right here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. The flyer is on my page. Please scan and start registering. We're getting registration in. So listen, the seating is limited to 150 people. So after 150, I don't know what's going to happen, and it's filling up quick. So I want you all to register, even if you're not coming. If you live out of state or out the country, please register. All right. Listen, join us again next Monday, and we're going to be doing part 2 of supporting your spouse when they're in a cycle. All right. So God bless you. God keep you. On behalf of myself and Evangelist Nikki, we are out. Catch us on the replay. All right. So we love you. Just know that we love you. Just know that we love you and we want what's best for you. And this is why we keep showing up every Monday. One of the women of God on Saturday night, she preached, your assignment is to keep showing up. So that's why we keep showing up every Monday and every Thursday for you. God bless you. Have an awesome good night. Go follow